I still can't figure this phone out. How can I make a video call if it keeps asking me about Mario? I don't understand technology. And that got me thinking, what can I review this year for April 1st? In the past, I've reviewed tote bags. I've reviewed things that wouldn't fit into any other review video. What could I possibly do this year? And I got to thinking, as a teacher, my students often use AI. Could I use AI to review the things I review on this channel? I never have before. Indeed, I don't even write scripts for my videos. I just write outlines, or I kind of improvise as I go. Could I write an AI script to review some of the most popular items I've reviewed on this channel? I thought that's a worthy question. So let's take a look and see what AI gave me. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a great April Fool's Day. My most watched video of all time is somewhat weirdly my review and unboxing of 2003's Three Stooges 12 DVD collection. 20 years ago, this would have been the crown jewel, the creme de la creme of many people's Three Stooges home media collections. Today, it's mostly just a weird curio. I bought mine a couple years ago for 15 bucks, just so I could have one to display. In the early 2000s, the Three Stooges were still releasing the themed collections, small DVDs of 5-6 shorts, which were often sold for exorbitant prices. Today, of course, they've since been replaced both by the TV season-style DVD, and a few of the shorts even made it to Blu-ray in a very divisive collection, which I also unboxed and discussed on this channel. But I thought, you know what? Let's see what AI has to say about this. Now, this is an interesting thing to review because this was very much a product of its time, and therefore has been supplanted by newer and better sets. But obviously a lot of people still have a soft spot for this. I do like the packaging and the artwork and stuff, so let's see what AI had to say for the Three Stooges 12 DVD collection. It says, released in 2003, this is a comprehensive collection featuring a vast selection of the trio's most famous and beloved shorts. Let's see, it has earned a strong reputation among fans of the Stooges slapstick comedy, making it a go-to for anyone wanting to enjoy a large portion of their work. Yeah, so there's not exactly a large selection of Stooges shorts available here. We'll talk more about that in a moment. The set includes 12 DVDs, that's true, with a mix of classic shorts spanning from their early years to their later post-Curly era. Now this is kind of true. The short films themselves run up through 1953, with Bubble Trouble being the last of them. The bulk of them are Curlies, but there are a few DVDs that prominently feature Shemp shorts as well, or sometimes even feature more Shemp shorts than Curly shorts. Not exactly comprehensive though, because we don't go past 1953. There's no Joe Besser material. Of course, that's to be expected, because most Stooges releases exclude him. But they do not mention the 1965 feature film, The Outlaws Is Coming, which we've discussed at length on this channel. Nor do they mention kind of its own quirky animal there, Stop, Look, and Laugh, which we've talked about extensively on this channel as well. So they don't even bother to mention that there are feature films included as well as short subjects. But let's keep going there. Films such as Men in Black, Microphonies, Hoi Polloi, and Boobs and Arms are featured, covering the core of the Stooges' best-known comedic gems. There is truth to that. There are a lot of classics here. I wouldn't say every classic Stooges short is included, but there is certainly enough that this appealed to many Stooges collectors almost immediately, I don't doubt. You know, we get a lot of the important ones here, even ones that weren't mentioned there, like A Plumbing We Will Go, you know, still in the box. Like, I'm okay with that. The packaging is straightforward, with images of the Stooges, a clean layout for easy navigation. It is not a lavish collector's item, but it offers good functionality for fans to get straight to the material. That's fair enough, too. These Stooges shorts are put on these DVDs in a pretty basic style. There's not a lot of bonus features or anything like that. I'll show you a different one here. So I agree with that, and indeed, the DVD cases are old enough to boast interactive menus as one of the sort of incentives for buying. Alright, so then it talks about sort of the critical reception. Critics have given it positive reviews from both casual fans and die-hard Stooge enthusiasts. First, it's a comprehensive collection. Reviewers love the box that includes over 100 shorts covering much of the trio's classic era. Actually, there's only about 60 short subjects on here, plus a couple feature films, so that's kind of overselling it a little bit. The Blu-ray collection would feature 100 Stooges shorts, plus feature films, plus other things like that. And of course, the TV series style sets go by year, but it's odd they would say over 100 when there's definitely not over 100 there. And remember, those feature films, of course, factor into the running time, the 600 minutes of fun there that they promise, or laughs, I should say, not fun, excuse me. Navigation. For many, the set is an opportunity to relive the magic of the Stooges' slapstick humor, making it a nostalgic and highly entertaining experience. A review on Amazon calls it a must-have for any fan of the classic comedy team. At the time, for sure. While the set is praised for its large selection of shorts, some have noticed that the menus on the DVDs could have been better organized. Finding specific episodes can sometimes be cumbersome. That's not really true. As long as you can work your DVD remote, you're fine. So I don't know why they made such a big deal about that. Audio and visual quality. Given that many of these shorts are over 70 years old, older than that now, the quality is generally good for their age, but the restoration isn't as pristine as some more modern releases. And that's true. They were all remastered for those TV series style 2 DVD or 3 DVD sets that would come a little bit later. And of course the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray doesn't do a lot with them too, but they still look better than on here. But for the time, for 2003, this was definitely an improvement over the VHS tapes that had been available previously, that kind of thing. So I can see that. And indeed, the next sentence even says it's still an improvement over watching these shorts on outdated VHS tapes or TV broadcasts. Okay, so there is truth to that. For the time, yes, this was the best option. Nowadays, not so much. While the set is lauded for including a massive amount of content, some of the later Stooges shorts from the 1950s and 60s, excuse me, particularly after Curly's departure, are sometimes seen as lesser in terms of comedic quality as the Stooges' humor evolved. Now, something that was very common for Stooges home media releases to do is to ignore the Shemp-era remakes. By the mid-50s, there were a lot of shorts. They took older ones, cut parts out, filmed new scenes, and kind of pieced them back together again. Sometimes the remake's better than the original, sometimes it's not. We talked more about that when I reviewed all the small TV series style box sets. But yeah, there's definitely nothing here in terms of, you know, mid to late 50s material. Bubble Trouble is the only remake that we get, and that's not a particularly good one in my eyes. They do tend to overlook those, I agree with that, and they are often seen as inferior, though not all of them are. Some viewers have commented that while the collection covers a lot of Stooges history, it lacks some of the later eras or may feel repetitive to those who own individual releases of key shorts. I don't quite understand that part, because Stooges shorts have never really been released individually, besides maybe some of the public domain stuff. So odds are, people picking up this set for the first time back in 2003 were getting things they probably didn't have on DVD already, unless they had some of these individual DVDs. Maybe that's what the review's trying to say. I don't know. In conclusion, the Three Stooges 12 DVD set is a fantastic collection for anyone looking to explore the full breadth of the Stooges' work. Well, that's not true. The packaging and presentation are basic, but the set offers incredible value with its extensive library of classical shorts, making it an essential purchase for fans of the trio's slapstick comedy. If you love the Stooges, this set is a goldmine, providing hours of entertainment and an excellent look at their lasting impact on comedy. Well, I mean, there is truth to that, and like I said, in 2003, that would have been the case. This was a set that I looked at as a kid very eagerly, knowing I couldn't afford. And indeed, 20-some years later I was able to get one, but nonetheless, yeah, it doesn't say things like, hey, people don't buy this anymore, get the Blu-ray or get the 2 or 3 disc TV series style sets instead. I don't know. So it's kind of odd to think when AI has to review something that for its time was revolutionary but now is replaced, it's still trying to be very positive about that, which I thought kind of interesting. But I don't think it quite does justice to this box set in depicting how it was amazing for its time, but time has since passed it by. And interestingly, it does include at the bottom a disclaimer that, in this case, ChatGPT was what I used for this review. You should double check facts before you submit things that the AI has written. I like that too. I'm glad that disclaimer's there. I think it's very accurate. Yeah, there aren't too many glaring errors in there, but it is important. We can't just copy-paste, what AI tells us. We should stop and double-check it, think about it, add our own spin to it. So I'm okay with that. And interestingly, in one of the AI generators I looked at, It actually linked my video review of this set as a supplemental material, which I was very flattered by. So, there you go. So let's take a look at some Beach Boys stuff now, shall we? And see what AI has to say about that. The second most viewed video that I will do a comparison with today has to do with Sounds of Summer. Sounds of Summer is a topic I have talked about many times on this channel in multiple different itinerations, from the original 2003 CD and its forgotten sequel, up to the announcement of the reissue in 2022. But my most popular one was, of course, my unboxing of the BeachBoys.com exclusive version of the vinyl box set for Sounds of Summer. That kind of thing. You can check that video out. I literally opened the package right after I got it. So I thought, let's see what AI has to say about the Sounds of Summer reissue. It says, the Sounds of Summer, the very best of the Beach Boys reissue from 2022, expands on the original 2003 compilation with additional content and remixes, giving fans a deeper look into the Beach Boys' legacy. Okay, that's fair. Track listing. The 2022 reissue includes 80 tracks, 3 CDs or 6 LPs. It does not note that one of the sides of the LP is not actually music. You can see down there the etched logo. We talked more about that when I unboxed it there. Has no grooves, it's just the Beach Boys logo, that kind of thing. So it's kind of hard to say it's a 6 LP set. Maybe say a 5.5 LP set? I don't know. Which encompasses the original hits from Sounds of Summer along with a large selection of additional material. It offers some of the band's essential tracks, lists a few of the classics from the first record or first CD set, along with a host of rarities and deeper cuts. It's nice they mention that, but they don't actually say what any of those rarities or deeper cuts are, so that's kind of frustrating. You know, a lot of very popular ones like Warmth of the Sun or Sail on Sailor, fans might be happy to know that they're included here, but then we get some that are much, more rare. Things like Let Us Go On This Way. Not too many people probably aware of that one. So I wish they'd named a few of those deeper cuts or rarities, that kind of thing, specified maybe which ones are like the second tier hits or the fan favorites, which ones are more obscure, that kind of thing. New mixes. One of the standout features of this reissue is the inclusion of 24 new mixes, including 2 first-time stereo mixes and 22 enhanced stereo mixes, whose original mono tracks have been separated to provide a fresh new listening experience. And that is true. Indeed, the Sounds of Summer article in the Endless Summer Quarterly, magazine that came out around that time, they actually talk about the AI process, creating the first official stereo mix of Surf and Safari, that sort of thing, and using AI to do that. So that's pretty cool and accurate. Alright, format options available on 3 CDs or a 6 LP vinyl collection, giving fans a choice of how to experience the reissue. The vinyl version is a collector's delight with large format artwork and high quality pressings. Okay, that's fair enough. And these do sound really good if you play them. Positive aspects. Many fans and critics have praised the inclusion of rare and previously unreleased tracks, providing a broader picture of the band's versatility and influence. The remixes have been appreciated by some as they offer a modernized take on the band's classic sound. That all depends on who you ask, because some people say yes, some people say no. I fall kind of in between, to be honest. Some of the mixes I really like. Some I don't notice that much of a difference. And a couple, like Help Me Rhonda, I'll take an older mix any day of the week. I think they made some mistakes with the newer ones there, but depends who you ask, strictly an opinion thing. Mixed reactions to new mixes. On the downside, there has been a criticism of the sound quality of some of these new mixes, with some fans feeling the remixes have too much treble and are too bright, leading to the loss of the warmth found in the original recordings. The warmth of the sun, perhaps, who knows. Now that is true, of course, that a lot of people criticize the mixes here, and not every song gets a remix too, which is kind of weird. They kind of picked and chose which ones they did, and it was really the very divisive aspect of this set, I would say. And then we come to what is kind of an error here. It says some listeners felt that the constant shift between stereo and mono tracks detracted from the flow of the album, particularly when the transitions were jarring. There is only one mono track on here, and that's Be True to Your School. Several Beach Boys fans have told me there are a few stereo mixes of Be True to Your School that float around on different collections, but they're very obscure ones. There's nothing that, I have or that many other fans probably have. It's, a very specific CD reissue or something like that, but that's the only one, at least the only one I can guarantee that's in mono, and honestly, not that jarring of a change, that sort of thing. Most everything in here is on stereo, so that's kind of weird. And for the packaging and presentation, fans who appreciate the artwork and the liner notes, the reissue does a great job of showcasing the band's visual legacy, especially on the vinyl format. The packaging has been praised for being sleek and detailed, and its expansive notes to accompany the music. So really the only big write-up, and the closest we get to like proper liner notes, Howie Edelson's article, which is included in the first record there, as you can see, and then we do get details about every song, and sometimes a little supplemental writing. I don't know that people were too pleased with Howie's write-up there. I know he tends to be kind of a polarizing figure. I thought he did okay, but you never know with that sort of stuff. I do think it's kind of weird how he argued the set should never be chronological either. I thought that was kind of strange, but whatever. Maybe overselling it a little bit, but I do like the packaging, and it is kind of reminiscent of some of their classic albums, notably All Summer Long, with like those colorful squares and rectangles and things like that. Alright, so for the conclusion here it says, the 2022 reissue of Sounds of Summer is a great package for collectors and for those looking for a deeper dive into the Beach Boys catalog. It's ideal for listeners who want more than just a greatest hits package and are interested in hearing new interpretations of some of the band's classic songs. Purists may prefer the original sound, others find the remixes divisive. That's fair, I think. And divisive was definitely a good word for this set. So, overall, not a bad review. Again, I don't know why they didn't showcase any of the kind of non-core Sounds of Summer tracks. You might recall Sounds of Summer was made to showcase as many top 40 Beach Boys hits as they could shove onto 2 records. Not everything is here, of course. Some of the omissions they fixed, like It's Okay, appears later in this set. That had been a top 30 single. Others like Little Girl I Once Knew are skipped, or the Beach Boys medley and some kind of quirkier ones. They skipped over those too, but I'm surprised they didn't go into more detail about the songs and tracks and things like that. And some of the praise feels kind of flat and generic. Not a terrible AI review, I'd say, but I feel like it could have been maybe a little more personalized to this set. I feel like they focus mostly on that core Sounds of Summer, which I'm sure it's very easy for AI to review because it's been reviewed a million times. Like I said, I've done a ton of videos on it. I was expecting something maybe a little more unique to these reissue records. Let's take a look at another Beach Boys thing now. So excluding Sounds of Summer or any other greatest hits packages, what is my most reviewed Beach Boys album? The odd answer to that? The 2018 digital-only set, I Can Hear Music, the 2020 sessions. Pretty unusual for a digital-only album to get that many views for one of my reviews, so that surprised me. But it was really fun to talk about, and there's a lot of really cool stuff to unpack here. So let's see what AI had to say. In December 2018, the Beach Boys released I Can Hear Music, the 2020 sessions, a digital compilation offering fans an intimate glimpse into the recording process of their 1969 album, 2020. The collection features a wealth of unreleased material, including session highlights, outtakes, and alternate versions of tracks from their original album. That's fair. I'd say it was a good intro, and it cites Wikipedia as a source. Key features of the set. Here's where we run into our first problem. Unreleased material. The compilation includes previously unreleased tracks, such as All I Want to Do and The Gong, and it also mentions Be With Me, both the track and also the demo, as unreleased. That's not true. Both the track for that song and the demo version were available on previous Beach Boys sets. With the track mix, they kind of have an excuse because they did remix it for this set. It says 2018 mix, but still, that isn't entirely true. I mentioned how these unreleased, since they're not all unreleased, tracks provide a deeper understanding of the band's creative process. So that's okay, but there's a lot of things they could have picked in place of Be With Me. It also mentions alternate versions. You can explore alternative takes of songs like Do It Again and I Can Hear Music, and it lists some of the things like Do It Again, a cappella, I Can Hear Music demo. It does not mention, however, that The Smile songs that were repurposed on 2020, Our Prayer and Cabinescence, are nowhere to be found on this digital set. No doubt the people in charge figured, you know what, a lot of people probably have Smile stuff, one of the Smile collections, maybe we don't need that, or maybe they thought including Smile stuff might detract a little from 2020, so I'm okay with that. Dennis Wilson's Contributions. This compilation sheds light on Dennis's significant role in the band's dynamics, featuring tracks like Well You Know I Knew and Love Affair, offering a more comprehensive view of his artistic input. And that's fair too, and they did include a lot of Dennis stuff. A lot of the things around the 50th anniversary and even in the following years were made to showcase Dennis and or Carl, so that's a very fair assessment. I like that. And again, it does cite sources too, usually Wikipedia. I Can Hear Music, the 2020 sessions, is available for digital download and streaming on platforms, and it lists some of the digital music platforms there. Physical copies were not released, that's true, as the project was intended to complement other archival releases such as Wake the World, the Friends sessions, also released digitally in December of 2018. Does not mention the other digital set from that time, one we're going to get to probably this summer, Beach Boys on Tour in 1968. But it does mention Wake the World, and I think most people, myself included, bought both of them at once and kind of sometimes tend to lump Wake the World and I Can Hear Music together. This one I think has a little more to offer in terms of diversity. And then it mentions as kind of a bonus to check out this video of Carl singing I Can Hear Music that you can find on YouTube. And that's a nice addition. So not too bad, a little vague, a little skimpy in my eyes, but honestly, for the most part, pretty accurate. So what do you think? Should I start using AI to review things on this channel? I don't really care to do that. Again, it should be used as a tool or a resource, not as something to just write your script for you. I think that kind of takes the fun out of it. If you had any wacky AI experiences, please comment them below. And join me for some fun upcoming videos. Happy April, everybody. Don't get fooled.